And I would say the most bullish cycle in terms of news, like the strategic Bitcoin reserve, SAB 121, Ross being freed. We know it's a strategic Bitcoin reserve, and the altcoins are like siloed to the side. So much good news breaking left and right. Positive regulatory environment. GameStop, right? Recently. But the price is what's going on? What's happening?
That is what we're going to unpack in today's video. This interview with Samson at the Mining Disrupt event in Florida this past week. And we're going to unpack some interesting insights, and then you can make your decisions of what you think. So stay tuned.
Bitcoin is booming. Are you cashing in or missing out? At Drip2BTC, we're rewriting the rules of Bitcoin investing. Earn up to 30% ROI on your deposits, unlock incredible Bitcoin discounts, and transform credit into up to 3,000% APR growth. No hassle, just real results. Don't wait, your future is one deposit away. Drip2BTC.com. Invest smart today.
Hey guys, welcome back. Drip Coach here with Drip and Farm for Poverty, where we don't trust, we verify, and operate with integrity and transparency. This video is going to uncover probably a question a lot of us have as to like what in the world is going on with Bitcoin. We are now back below the 84K. That was kind of operating as some long-term support, depending on where you want to draw your trend lines on your TA for Bitcoin. But that could just signal again some temporary volatility to the downside, but everybody's still projecting that second quarter, which by the time you watch this video should be in full swing, should be positive. But the question that Nico asked Samson is like, yeah, what's going on? So let's listen to his take on that.
Is it being manipulated, man?
I don't know, but it's not right. So I think Bitcoin should be at 0.2 M or 200K. And the CIO of Bitwise also said the same thing. Like, we're way undervalued from where we should be right now. And of course, that's just my gut feeling, and that's probably his gut feeling too. But it doesn't feel right. And usually what happens, I think, when things are kind of disconnected, is that there's a fast reconciliation. Like, it's got to reconcile all of this bullish news, and we're kind of stagnant in the 80s range, not even 100s range. It's just wrong, and it should adjust and right itself, which means, 10K candles, maybe 100K candle, and that'll put us in the right.
Yeah. So.
And that's what I believe as well. And again, maybe it's a bias of I'm searching out people that confirm my bias on Bitcoin, but like just from doing my 1,000 hours of research now all over this previous last cycle, making videos, digesting other people's information, even listening to some people that are kind of bearish on it, all this stuff, it's like there's just too many catalysts at this stage, too much acceptance that it just cannot stay here for long. And I believe that inevitably it will go up. That does not mean that there will not be any volatility, but the simple fact that Samson mentions in here that many people have not really priced in is that prior to Bitcoin, there was never a truly scarce asset. And this is the first time that it's a digitally scarce and transparent asset, commodity, store value, whatever your terminology you want to use. And the markets don't really know how to react to that. So they're treating it as this thing you buy and sell like they've always done. And even some market makers could be, manipulating the price, or in another clip that we get into, possibly using paper Bitcoin. But the point is, at some stage, this does have to reconcile.
You can do with Bitcoin. There's only 21 million. And I don't think the world has woken up to that fact yet, or else they'd be scrambling to buy it already.
Of course.
But given that there is demand from the US, 1 million is the Bitcoin Act from Cynthia Lummis, right? To acquire 1 million. And then there's a proposal put forth to acquire about 2 million Bitcoin in form of a Bitcoin bond or Bitbonds. So that's like 3 million of demand. So where's that going to come from? And Saylor has 500,000 now. The ETFs are still accumulating. And now GameStop is coming into the mix with $4.6 billion of cash. And there's other players with a ton of cash, like Berkshire, Apple. So what's going to happen?
Number go up.
Now, just to play devil's advocate here, we have this news that Trump has signed the executive order and he's tasked his task force to acquire Bitcoin in a budget neutral way. That does not mean that that's going to happen. That's just the way politics work. This is something he's pushing for, but there's still no guarantee. However, just that transparent legislation, kind of Babe Ruth, call your shot, let the world know, that I think that will be enough to cause, you know, a buying frenzy across other nations. And we have seen the headlines about other countries that are acquiring Bitcoin. So either way, at some stage, this does truly have to take off. Whether or not the US is going to be that springboard for that catalyst or not, by actually acquiring, like you mentioned, the 3 million that they want to have, we don't know. But the gauntlet has been dropped, so to speak, and everything is going to be moving in that direction. So while things are uncertain and possibly manipulated, this is just a great opportunity for you and me to continue to stack sats. So I don't know how much longer we will see this 80K range. I'm still hoping for potentially a drop back down to the 77, what was it, 76, 78, depending on what chart you're on, because I still have buy orders in down there. I still believe there's a floor down here at the 73 or whatever. I don't know if we'll actually see that or not. According to today's video, we got this little candle here, but we're still below the 84. But let's go into the last piece, that there is still some uncertainty here, but I do kind of lean towards what Samson is saying as well regarding paper Bitcoin.
And long and Larry Lepard, and they were talking about rehypothecation. So I'm like putting two and two together. I'm like, technically, you know, we're seeing all these Bitcoin purchases, but there's really no way to verify that. That could be paper Bitcoin. And I mean, that could be an explanation as to why we're not seeing that upside volatility.
I don't think it's paper Bitcoin. I mean, the hardcore crypto anarchist Bitcoiners are probably thinking, yeah, it's paper, but it's highly unlikely that it's paper. I don't think Brian Armstrong would want to go to jail, and I have more faith in Saylor that he has the Bitcoin. I think the price is just, you know, it's depressed. Like when we're flat and people are kind of worried, the hedge funds and prop trading firms, they can push the price down, right? They just have to, you know, execute a sell order at the same time, right? Like from time to time, you see a blip on the chart, and we know like some guy fat fingered an order, and that's why it went down. So the price is just a feed, and it can be manipulated by, you know, a couple firms all fat fingering at the same time, and that causes a panic, and you know that's what got us down to like the 70s, right? And it takes time to recover because it's market sentiment, but the price feed is completely separate from the supply of Bitcoin, which is dwindling, which we don't really have an idea of exactly how much is available.
Yeah, I want to know what you guys think in that. Like, I kind of, again, lean towards that same camp of what Samson said, that, Brian Armstrong or anyone else that's custodying Bitcoin for people does not want to go to jail, because the legislation that they put out is that they have to be purchasing a 1-to-1, and they have to hold that asset. So this is where the don't trust, verify comes in. We need proof of reserves. There needs to be public audits. All this stuff needs to be out there. I think there's been multiple questions also about Saylor. It's like, you know, show us proof of your 500K holdings as well. So the one thing we do know is there is only 21 million Bitcoin that can be mined. And we do have the blockchain to analyze and look at wallets. You do have things like Arkham and all these deep dives. But behind the actual centralized exchanges, there's a black box that we're not privy to. And that has to be factored in regards to, like he said, to the market price. But that has nothing to do with the actual supply of Bitcoin. That is fixed. That is on the transparent ledger. But the price itself can indeed be manipulated to some degree, and could also be, like you mentioned, you know, fat finger order, an accident or whatever, and cause a swing. But eventually this has to settle. It has to shake itself out and finalize to some degree, because the more global this is, the more decentralized, the more people buying in, people like myself that have their Bitcoin self-custody, you get more and more of those people pulling that off the chains and into their own personal wallets, such as CoinGlass showing the amount of Bitcoin that is on exchanges that, you know, I guess that they tell you or transparently have. I'm not sure how this is validated, but either way, we can see this trend is trending downward. And the smaller that this number gets, the more that people self-custody, the less likely or the less ability that these exchanges can actually manipulate the price, because there's more and more people that are like, yo, I want to self-custody my own Bitcoin, and they're going to be buying it and pulling it off the exchange. And once you go on to Coinbase or Binance and you move it to your wallet, it has to come out of somewhere that is on the blockchain, on the public ledger, right? So at some stage, just like I said, it comes to a head, it gets rectified, there will be a balance, and maybe that's when these Omega candles that Samson Mao was talking about kicks in. But the TLDR is, again, you still have a great accumulating opportunity. Regardless of how much money you have, there will be a supply shock. There will be a day of reckoning where you'll be kicking yourself, much like I will be, saying, why didn't I buy more? There will always probably still be cycles, but that's another video I want to do about this super cycle, extended cycle. But I think it will be diminishing returns in regards to future cycle corrections. Yeah, we may have seen 80, 70, 60% corrections in previous cycles, but as Bitcoin gets more and more mature, the price of it gets higher and the liquidity gets fuller. So it takes more money to manipulate the price or drop the price. It will require more people selling. And then again, it's Michael Saylor and some of the other, hardcore Bitcoiners, it's that they're not going to be selling the asset. They're going to be leveraging it and taking loans out against it. So if nobody's selling it, then it makes it very difficult to crash the price. So again, all this is just maybe me trying to reconvince myself that I'm making the right play this cycle. But I want to know what you guys think, what you're doing. Do you think that some of these people are actually manipulating the price? Is it paper Bitcoin? What's your thoughts on market manipulation and things of that nature? And will we see a plus 120K BTC price in this second quarter? All right, that's all I got for this video. Smash that HBO special, help a brother out, like, subscribe, comment down below, and until next time, live daily and achieve your impossible. See ya.